Okay, well, hi everybody. Welcome back to IMetAWrestler.com, and today I'm joined by a true wrestling veteran, a guy that was born into the business, third generation. He's been active for over 30 years, been wrestling in 4 different decades, and it's the man who loves to fight. It's the one and only Fit Finlay. Fit, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good, not too bad, sir. It's great to have you with me today. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, you know, the main reason I wanted to speak with you today was to talk about the upcoming wrestling convention. It's Wrestlereunion. It's going to be this Friday through till Sunday, the 27th through the 29th in Los Angeles at the LAX West. And I wanted to ask you, Fit, if there was any fans out there that hadn't been to one of these wrestling conventions before and, you know, they were thinking about coming this weekend, what can they expect to see? Why should they come out and see you guys?
Well, I think, personally, I love going to those events. I mean, if you're any type of a wrestling fan and you want to delve further into it, there's a lot of history around. There's a lot of guys that maybe you've grown up with watching, and I mean, it's just a great atmosphere. It's almost like a big family reunion, and there's all the memorabilia stuff and just stuff that come out of the archives that you go, wow, you remember this from your childhood or from a couple of years ago, stuff you've forgotten, but it's an amazing thing to come to. You'll see, all your favorite old timers and even some new guys, and I mean, it's just a great thing. I mean, I've been to about maybe 4 or 5 of them now, and I never went to them before because it was so busy. But being there and attending them, I'm still a wrestling fan myself, so it's a great thrill to be there and see all the fans and. Kids there enjoying themselves and buying stuff, and it's a real good event to visit.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Such a great atmosphere, and part of the fun, I think, for us fans as well is to see, as you just said, for you guys, it's like almost like a high school reunion for you. See a lot of the old wrestlers, patting each other on the back, shaking hands, and catching up again. So I think you have just as much fun as we do.
Absolutely. Over the past few months, I've met people I haven't seen for maybe 20, 30 years. So. Like, wow, I forgot these people still existed.
That's awesome. And hey, another thing to mention about the weekend is you're actually going to be in action, I believe, on Saturday night. And if I read this right, you're going to be in an old school match with Colt Cabana, and it's going to be World of Sport rules. Is that right?
I believe so. I don't really pay too much attention to rules and stuff like that. I mean, my passion is stepping in through the ropes and doing whatever has to be done, So, I've been doing it a long time, and every time I get in the ring, I'm excited, and it's, I give my best, and whoever gets in, they will experience something they've never experienced before, no matter who they are. So I do pass on weird experiences.
Yeah,
it's like a drowning. It's like a drowning experience. You never forget it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of pain involved, I'm sure.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah. Well,
all in the best possible taste, of course.
Oh, absolutely. God, that takes me back. There we go. Good memories. Oh, well, just to touch briefly on the old World of Sport days and the old. The English wrestling, I'm 30 years old, so I really grew up on the tail end of it, But even as a little kid,
sure.
a toddler, I was always in front of the TV with, Big Daddy and Nagasaki and McManus and all those guys, and they were good days, And it's not a lot of that really gets seen over in the US, And there was just a lot of good talent back then. And you ever miss those days? Ever think back to them?
Yeah, everything moves on. You can't look back too much. You can't dwell on it. But I mean, it really was something that every family did at 4:00 in the afternoon Saturdays. Everybody sat around the television and watched World of Sport Wrestling. It was on for I think an hour, and there was a lot of characters, a lot of great wrestling talent around at that time. It was a very it was a place to learn for other wrestlers too. Japanese wrestlers would come through, American wrestlers. I mean, even away from the 50s and 60s, it was a training ground for so many wrestlers that became big stars around the world. But there was the British wrestling scene was really good in those days. And it's moved on for better or worse. I'm not sure sometimes, but. That's the way things go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And and a lot of the old, well, I guess the younger guys back then really made a big presence here in the States. Obviously yourself and William Regal, Dave Taylor, and I always remembered Robbie Brookside growing up, and he had like a real good. He almost looked like Edge, tall guy with the long blonde hair, and I never understood why he didn't really have a bigger impact over here. Like, you have any idea why he didn't seem to click?
Well, I think it was Robbie's choice. He was again a good friend of mine. I've helped him out a lot, and I've actually spent the last couple of tours. I went to Germany. He's been there, and Danny Collins, two great talents. But when Robbie came over here, I don't think he really could settle into the American way of life. He wasn't used to it. It's a culture shock,
Oh, yeah.
It's a totally different way of life. The transport, there's no public transport. It's just a total shock to the system when you come to the States from the UK. It's a different world, So I think he gave himself time to adjust to it. He just, he got homesick and went back to Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe he missed his football. He's a big Evertonian, I believe, as well. So maybe
he is,
couldn't get the match. Well, one other quick question about this, and then we'll move on. There's this long-standing opinion that keeps coming over and over that Les Kellett was one of the hardest men in all of the wrestling business. Would you agree with that?
Yes, he was actually. He was a solid, grumpy old man. You see him on television or in the ring. He was a comedian, but he was just a solid, grumpy old man. I really get on well with him, but he was one of those tough old guys. That just you could burn him your cigarette and it wouldn't bother him, type thing, or stick a nail through his ear hole. He's just one of those throwbacks, one of those old tough farmer type people,
Oh, yeah. And I remember I got a few of them in the family. I definitely remember them. Yeah. Don't mess with them, that's for sure. No.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, then after you moved out of the the English and the Irish scene, I've looking how you moved into Germany and Austria and places like that, and then obviously into WCW, the Belfast Bruiser days, and then I guess you could say the top of the mountain with WWE. So it's kind of like you're like one of those true wrestling journeymen. Like, you really did travel the world and different opponents, different styles. And do you think that's something that's missing these days? And the current guys don't really get to do that as much?
Yeah, it's a shame, and that's a great learning tool for guys that they don't get that nowadays. And again, you just got to adapt to what's put in front of you. But I went from Ireland to England to Germany and Austria and Japan and Africa. I traveled on my own most times, and I've obviously come over this side of the globe. And here's the thing: every time you get in the ring with someone, you learn. You're gaining experience. It's better what not to do or what to do. It doesn't matter. If you don't learn something every time you step in the ring, you're wasting your time, because this is a thing. You have to adapt all the time. You have to keep going forward. And I think too many guys nowadays look at some other wrestler and want to be like them instead of developing who they really are.
Yeah,
it's got to come within you. Not look. I want to be like him. I think that's the wrong way to do it. You can admire someone's work or their strengths, but I wouldn't suggest emulating anybody.
No, I think that makes sense. You could look at say like Hulk Hogan. They say that he took a lot from superstar Billy Graham and he inspired him, but he was a completely different character himself. It wasn't like a rip-off or anything like that. So
no, it wasn't like Bob and Bobby at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. And then it looks like from what I've read from there that you've spent some time in Japan recently wrestling for Tajiri's promotion, and some matches with Harry Smith up in Ontario. So you're still doing it. You're still traveling around and still doing that.
Oh yeah, I'm still. I've been to Japan like. I'm actually going the middle of February. Tajiri's company is called Smash. I'm their heavyweight champion. I took it off a guy called Starbuck. He's originally from Canada, so I'm their champion, and I've been back. I was back there between Christmas and New Year, and going back in, I think 17th or 18th of February.
Yeah.
But I'm traveling. Then I've got a tour right after that on the 24th of February, right through the 4th of March, in England and Germany. So I keep moving around.
Yeah, still out there. That's awesome. Keep them busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was in Portland, Maine last night. I was for DOA. I was wrestling over there, so
Yeah.
I'm traveling all over the place, keeping busy. Plus, I teach at the local high school here. I teach amateur wrestling here.
Oh, wonderful! I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I coach. She does more than nutrition and stuff, but we coach. My son's a senior at the high school, so
Yeah.
he was his last year, and then we're sending him out on the road. See what he can make of himself.
Do they recognize you from the WWE days?
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. What's did you ever face any kind of I guess kind of like what Kurt Angle talked about in the past as well, being the amateur wrestling scene? I guess they can kind of sneer at the professional wrestling, and it's more of a circus. I mean, have you ever encountered anything like that, or have people been pretty respectful? And
No, I grew up around wrestling. As you said before, I'm a third generation, but my father also runs amateur wrestling, and now I was always around amateur wrestling and done it all my life. I was national champion, multi times Irish champion amateur, and the guys that I wrestled with amateur wrestling, they were sort of proud of being around me, and they always followed my career afterwards and stuff. So I never had that. I mean, I guess there is that goes on somewhere, but I don't think it's that bad, If you know the guys, you're friends for life type thing once you enter the sport like that.
Oh yeah, a fraternity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I remember reading a few years ago in the Sun newspaper back home in England. You did an interview with them, and you said that your oldest boy was looking to get into the business and kind of follow in your footsteps. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's true. He's a senior. This is his last year, so he's hoping to win state title this year before he leaves school.
Yeah.
Actually, my daughter's 10-year-old. She's Georgia state champion.
Wow.
My youngest son, he's 9 and he wrestles as well, but his goal is soccer. He wants to play soccer. So.
The Irish roots coming through there, huh?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my eldest son, he's 18, and by May when he gets out of school, that's when he's gonna. I intend to send him to Japan. Hopefully, if I can make a deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'm going to send him out there for 6 months a year, and
wow.
And then just get him. I'm going to get him to travel the globe like I did, most I can possibly. If it's still out there to be done, I'm going to send him out and do that and pick the rest of them out.
That's awesome.
Plus, I'll send him over to my dad as well. I'm going to send him to Ireland for a bit, and my dad's 75 now, but he can still drag him around the place.
Still stretch him out a little bit, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I read something about Ricky Steamboat doing the same thing with his son, that he tried to send him to I think he did send him to Japan and Puerto Rico and Mexico, and trying to do what you said, learn those different styles as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, Ricky has the same mindset as I do. Just send him out there and learn how to do this properly, and avoid the bad mistakes that you see so often. So,
sure.
Unfortunately, Ricky's boy has had a couple of injuries, and
oh wow,
it sort of delayed his journey a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. Like, hopefully we'll see him on there someday for sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you is, a lot of the fans know that you were instrumental in training the female wrestlers, and building up that diva division, and really turning into what it is, and it's fantastic how much it's grown, and they have a big following these days. But they also seem to get a lot of criticism, that they're not as good as the old days of Moolah and Sherry, and a lot of it seems to be unwarranted. But do you think that's pretty unfair, that they always seem to get bashed all the time, and it's they're the worst part of Raw every week and all this kind of stuff? I mean, is that pretty unfair?
Yeah, I do think it's unfair. It's the girls are. I mean, I've had a great relationship with all the girls, and we trusted each other, and I taught them quite a bit, and it really was a privilege for me to work with those girls, and see them grow. But they're under the microscope, and it's easy for anyone to sit at home and criticize, but you can't look back at Moolah and all those other people and compare. Wrestling has changed. It's different. Yeah. It's just moved on, and it's those girls now are so beautiful, and most of them are models. But every single one that I've worked with, I've got a passion to be in the ring. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't be there.
Right, absolutely.
So it's easy to sit at home and pull. I could sit. I know nothing about football. Absolutely nothing. You know, I could sit and watch it and pull it apart.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't go in and do it.
No.
So, you know, opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got one.
It's true.
But I think the girls are very unfortunate that people try to pull them apart, you know, and, you know, they're not as good as this one, or not as good as that. Hey, here's my opinion. Shut your mouth unless you've tried
it. There you go. Right from the mouth of Finlay, right there, and it's true, and I agree with you. You know, when you look at some of them, they've had some serious injuries. I remember watching, you know, like Candice fell on her head from the top rope that time, and I think you know, Beth Phoenix's first match, you know, broke her jaw, and Trish with the arm. I mean, they're tough as well. I mean, obviously they're beautiful and they're great to look at, but they're tough old broads as well. That's for sure.
Absolutely, I've seen them all get busted open, and you know, Trish dislocated her shoulder where her elbow thing was, and it was Victoria slapped Beth in the face and broke her jaw. And I mean, I've seen also, you know, for someone to sit at home and pull the girls, especially girls doing this as a profession, as their job, I think, you know, you need to just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And as I said before, if you've never done it, shut your mouth. Exactly.
Couldn't agree more, and I hope that message gets out there. Absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, you know, just to go back to the Wrestlereunion event coming up this weekend, and just a couple of questions about the fans. And again, it's going to be beginning this Friday through Sunday. You're going to be there with High Spots on Saturday. Is that something that you personally enjoy? I think you touched on that at the beginning of the interview, but you like getting in front of the fans and hearing their memories and stories and things like that?
Yeah, you know, it's a bit strange. It really was strange for me in the beginning because I've always been I've not always been a baby face, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I brought up in the old school way that, you know, you don't mix. But I know it's moved on, it's changed, and I mean, it is good to see. I've seen bros, the little kids, and, you know, how much. Last night, this little kid came to me, and he was shaking, and he had, you know, one of those wrestling figures of me, and he was shaking. And, I mean, these people are saying, you know, like TV stars, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. No,
but it's a great thing to see that we can, as athletes or professional wrestlers or performers or superstars, whatever you want to tag it as, that you can have a relationship with the fans who come to watch you. You know, you can actually pat them on the back and say thank you as well. You know.
Sure. No, I agree with that.
Because the fans do as much for me as I do for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that's what I'm trying to think of a good word, but, you know, taking away maybe some of that mystique that maybe, you know, the fans, you know, like all the wrestlers now have Twitter accounts and they communicate, you know, with the fans and the conventions. Do you think that removing that kind of distance has maybe damaged it at all, or overall do you think it's a better experience?
Yes, to a degree, I think it has.
Yeah.
I think it's got too close and too mixed, you know, wrestlers and fans getting to know each other too much, and all these, you know, Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I don't have a Facebook. I know it's out there, and there's, you know, people pretend to be me or whatever, however they do it. I do not. I'm not personally on any of the websites at all.
Okay, so yeah, we can.
To answer your question, yes, I think that is taken away. It's sort of, it's like the magician, you know, like in the secrets type thing, and, you know, the magic isn't as magic as it was, you know.
Sure. No, I think that's a good analogy. And hey, you know, just to make that clear to anybody that's listening, so if they do think they're talking to you online, that Finlay doesn't have any kind of Facebook, Twitter, any kind of, you're not communicating with anybody online, just to make that clear for anyone. No. Yeah, a lot of frauds out there. I don't know what they get out of doing that, but that's pretty
I don't know that.
Well, one other question just about the fans as well. And I mean, again, you know, you've been in the business now for wrestling, I think, 5 decades, you know, and debuted in the early 70s, and when I've talked to some of the other, like the older guys from back in that generation and read some of the books, and it's pretty scary to see you know, how serious the fans took it back then, and a lot of the heels, you know, had guns fired at them, and they get stabbed, and I've heard stories of, they'd find the wrestler's car and be slashing the tires and all that kind of thing. And did you ever encounter anything like that back in those days? Any crazy?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm Irish wrestling in England at that time, so you can imagine what that was like, during all this trouble with, I've been hit over the head with beer mugs, and I've been stabbed. I've had cigarettes and cigars stubbed out in my back.
God.
Things dropped on my car, and people, 3 and 4 times, 4 people at a time jumping in the ring to try and fight me.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was wild, a lot of, particularly in England, I've had it in Germany too, but England was, for me, the worst place.
Wow.
Being Irish, I guess, they didn't like the Irish back then.
Oh, yeah, of course, all those
Which was
troubles.
good for me because I made the most of it,
A lot of heat from that then, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds to me like when they called you the tough Irish bastard, it sounds like you definitely earned that title from those days.
I had to back that one up.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, hey, Finlay, I asked for 15 minutes, and you've been real generous. We've gone over 20, so, just one last time. You're going to be at this weekend's convention. You're going to be there on Saturday with High Spots, is that right?
That's right.
And you're going to be wrestling in the evening. So, are there any closing words you'd like to say to the listeners, to the fans out there?
No, not really, but, I appreciate everybody coming to watch as well, and, I hope that, myself included, we give 100% every time. I try my best to do that, and I hope that nobody gets, is not disappointed at what we do and what we try to do for everybody. So,
sure.
This is my passion. This is all I've ever done, and keep doing until somebody says, hey, you can't do it anymore.
Absolutely, and please keep going. We love seeing you, and I can't wait to see you in action on Saturday night.
All right, well, you take care. Thanks a lot.
You too, Fed. I appreciate your time. Take it easy.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.